So now, this is a time where the session where majority of the young pharmacists are waiting for on the hot topic of contract pharmacists. To moderate and introduce the speakers for this Contract Pharmacist Speak Engagement Series 2 session, please welcome Mr. Sean Liu Jiazhen, the Deputy Chairperson of the MPS Young Pharmacist Chapter. Mr. Sean Liu, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, the host. So, selamat pagi and salam sejahtera to everyone here. A very good morning to our esteemed panelists. Welcome, and also once again, welcome to MPS Virtual Day 2022. And in the upcoming 90 minutes session, we will actually be talking about a topic that has been virally discussed lately by our contract healthcare workers. But today we are going to specifically talk about like contract pharmacies, and also this session is something that we call a Contract Pharmacist Speak Engagement Series Forum. So today we are delighted to have a few esteemed panelists here today, which is I would say that they are people that are actually very professionals, and also they're the right persons to talk about these issues, and also like give a perceptions to the contract pharmacists, like how you can actually like what kind of things that you need to know from this opportunity. So of course, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our esteemed panelists first. First and foremost, of course, our Mr. President of Malaysia Pharmacy Society, Tuan Mr. Aram Hiwang, and also our ex-Senior Director of Pharmaceutical Service, Dr. Salma Binti Bari, and also our Chairperson of MPS Public Pharmacist Chapter, Dr. Azwana Supiat. So with us today, this sharing, they will actually help us to give us a point of view and give us a different pictures of what we need to know about the contract pharmacist today. And I would like to give a short introduction about myself. My name is Sean Liu, Deputy Chairperson of MPS Young Pharmacist Chapter, and also an ex-contract pharmacist. So before I start, maybe just give me a few minutes to set the ground and give a background introduction of these contract issues. So because I believe that today is a mix of like not only for contract pharmacists or public pharmacists here, but there will be a ground of like pharmacists from different backgrounds. So ever since 2016, the Malaysian government actually started employing the pharmacists in a contract basis, with a pharmacist being hired by contract as provisional registered pharmacist PRP for 1 year, and thereafter as compulsory service for another year. So a third-year contract will be offered to those who did not actually get a permanent service, permanent posting as a grace period for them to seek for the opportunity out from the public service. So in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic and with the surge of outbreak cases nationwide, it actually created a critical needs for healthcare professionals to be deployed and standby. So multiple ad hoc contract extensions have been offered, such as on 15th of April 2020, which is involving 1,139 contract F44 pharmacies, and also further extensions of 6 months contract as per announcement on 28th of September 2020, followed by on 25th of February 2021, MOH actually announced another extension of contract to be offered to 1,966 contract pharmacies without a defined period at that point of time. So on 30th of November 2021 itself, a total of 1,966 contract pharmacists were being shaded light, with opportunity to be appointed as F44 Contract, which will be effective from 1st of January 2022, which has been effective. So this contract actually being given to them for another 2 years, which is until 31st of December 2023, that involve batch up to May 2018 intake. So based on our understanding from the contract pharmacists they are serving, we found that there's actually two drastic kind of reactions towards the announcements of establishments of F44 contract. So where one group is actually very satisfied, and also they think that this is actually an opportunity for them to continue to serve the riot. But there's also another group that will actually have perceived it differently, I would say. So they will actually think that the contract terms is still there. So we would like to say that the continuous of contract extension with or without additional or changes of benefits and terms have actually seems to be a new norm for contract healthcare workers who are currently serving MOH setting during COVID-19 pandemic, or even post-pandemic period. So this leads to the questions, and also this leads to this session today, that we wanted to find out that, so what will happen to them, like these people, once actually the situation is under control, when things actually turn back to normal. First thing. Second thing is that we really want to know that why is the creation of the UF44 position is relatively important as of now, and it may be different kind of light to them and their future. And also how actually this UF44 contract positions, that establishment can actually bring a different kind of impact to the professional practice itself. So we would like to lead to the first questions of the day. So the first question of the day is, we would like to hear from all panelists, Mr. Aramhi, Dr. Salma, and so Dr. Azwana. So today is that, what do you think, like, give your perceptions, and also from based on your experience, like, what do you think of this establishment of the UF44 contract can be different kind of opportunity to the contract pharmacists in terms of career progressions and also the professional development as a whole? So the floor is yours. We can start from Mr. Aramhi first.
Thank you, Shan. I think it's very important for us to understand, first of all, regarding what is the difference between contract and permanent. Okay, I think this is the most important issue, because as part of the country, we are subject to all these policies. Okay, and policies always change. Nothing new to me after serving what you call in the public service for 35 years and now retire after 6 years. I can see that policies will change from time to time. So that's what exactly happened, when it happened. So when there's a change in policy, of course, we have to respond. So as you rightly mentioned, in 2016, when the government make that decision, okay, I mean, it is a decision by the government. We cannot question the government as such, because they are the employer. Okay, we are talking about the employer-employee relationship here. So how much can we talk about the employer? Because employer also has a responsibility. Okay, the employer also has a responsibility. All right, so these are things that we need to understand first. The other thing is, regarding this, we cannot run away from the fact that the government has decided on 3 professions. Meaning our medical colleagues, our dentists, and also pharmacists. I think we should be proud also, at least pharmacy is not left behind. Don't you think that it will be will be something that will really affect the profession if the pharmacists are not included? Okay, for information, I may be wrong. Dr. Salma can correct me. Dr. Azwana also can correct me. Actually, the worst by our medical graduate is even worse, because they don't have an alternative. But for pharmacists, we have an alternative, because we can, right, when we get graduated, all right, we can actually go into private sector already. All right, you don't have to go to public. Whereas our medical colleagues under the Medical Act has to serve the government facilities and so on. So this is something that we need to understand. And then the other point is the fact that when we talk about policy, all right, with due respect to our colleagues in the pharmacy program division, I think we have to understand that they have to follow the ministry. They have to follow GPA. So these are things that we cannot do much. So my last point is like this: when you talk about changes, or whatever that we want to call it, the word inconsistency always come out. All these years, all right? So my last word will be, the only consistent thing in this world, in our life, is inconsistency. So be prepared to face our life now and later, until we die, that there will be a lot of inconsistency, because that is actually the consistent thing in life. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Inshallah. How about Dr. Salma and Dr. Azwana? So what's your maybe point of view on this UF44 establishment, and how do you think that this can be something different for the current contract pharmacists? How can it actually be in terms of their career progression as well, professional development as a whole?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And very good morning. Alhamdulillah, we are here together for this very wonderful morning, good weekend. And as what the organizing chairman said, I'm so glad there are around 900 participants today, more than that. And so back to the point just now. I'm not going to backtrack you for the past history of us as pharmacists once we got ourselves registered as our registered pharmacists. Okay, back in 1980s, okay, we were such a small bunch of pharmacists and went through. I mean, being in the public sector wasn't something very glamorous. You see, we went through. At that time, being in the private sector is better. Everybody wants to go to private sector. So we had, I mean, the government had having difficulties to have pharmacists to join the public sector. Okay, so we went through managing the hospitals, managing the public sector with a small handful of pharmacists. Okay, but we went through it together, and we were getting stronger and stronger. We showed our, the profession. You know, who are the pharmacists? What can the pharmacists contribute to the Ministry of Health? Okay, so but we went through, and we were on U41. Formerly it was 41. Through 17 years, the fund, we were having this tagline: you have to, when you are 17 years of service, then only you get promoted. You know, 17 years, then only you get promoted. So the good days started in 2006 when we were working to get all this time base and together with the other two, with our colleague professions, you see, the medical side and ministry. And we get the time base and so forth starting from 2011. So those were the good days. However, as what Mr. Amrahi was saying, policies change. Okay, and this is actually because the public sector, the government, JPA are our employers. You see, so the policies change. So to me, as young pharmacists, you all are our next generation, do not give up. Take the opportunity to gain as much as possible, to gain your experience, to gain whatever can be offered in this within this time, the one that you all have, those 1,966 have been extended up to 31st December 2023. Take up this opportunity, gain as much as possible, gain as much as knowledge, as much as experience from your presence in the public sector. Okay, so do not be demotivated because you do not get the time base, you are not being accepted. Work as if that you are going to work through. As what P.T. Thomas mentioned during our discussion, work as if you're going to work until the end of your profession, because you will be evaluated by your senior, by your head of department. And if ever the policies changes and JPA gave new post, then who will be accepted? Those who perform. If you all, if you all are not motivated, you all do not want to perform, be calculative, or we are just contract officers, then you will not get the high marks. You see, because I heard that those who got accepted formally into the contract, got extended formally, are those who were in the clinic kesihatan, where they got high marks when they are evaluated. So I mean, what I'm trying to say is take full advantage, opportunity. Go for your CPD. because it is only in the hospitals that you have got all the CPDs you can go. Get as much as CPD points, get as much as possible. So that's what I have to say. Just check up, there will be blessings in disguise with this situation.
All right, Dr. Sama. Thank you, Dr. Sama. So how about Dr. Azwana? Do you have something maybe you want to add on to this?
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. Very good morning to Mr. Chairperson, Mr. President, Dr. Salma, and the members of MPS, or what should we call is MPSian. Okay. Okay, first of all, I want to introduce myself lah. Maybe ramai tak kenal saya kan. I'm Azwana Supian, Head of Department of Pharmacy in Hospital Tuanku Jaafar Seremban. Okay, I'm already 23 years in service. Okay, since 1998. Okay, now you know my age lah. Okay. Okay, first of all, I want to highlight what we are talking about today, and then apa yang kita bicarakan, kita bentangkan with our opinion is it's not because of we are senior, we are established, we are already confirmed in the in our job description, and then but we talk about what we talk about today is just a reality. What happened today is exactly bukan sebab kita you bolehlah cakap you sudah jadi KPF lah semua, tak, no. Kita because we talk about this because of you, the youngest, the young generation of pharmacists. You are our future pharmacists, our nation future pharmacists who will be take care of us. Maybe biasa kita tua kan, you are the one yang will take care of us lah and the country. So I want to respond about the establishment of the F44 contract. Okay, for me, I agree with Mr. Amrahi and Dr. Salma. Policy always change. Are you here? Okay. Policy always change. Yes, because F44 contract until 2023, and then maybe the policy on that year, maybe we want to open about 500 of posts of pharmacists to interview within all the pharmacy contract F44. Yes, why not? Policy always change. We don't know what happened the next 2 years. Okay, for me, me as KJF, Kota Jabatan Pharmacy, what we see here, this UF44, we can make use of them to be a leader. We can polish them to be a leader. Maybe a certain project, maybe in all the innovasi. We have a lot of innovasi. We have a lot of QA or R&D project. So I think this F44 contract maybe can we tunjukkan mereka and then groom them to be a leader. Because to me, as one of the interviewer, for the post contract, for the permanent post last 2 years, what the JPAs always ask the pharmacists about the leadership. Yeah, because kalau kita tanya kalau kita tanya berkenaan dengan all our knowledge as a pharmacist, maybe semua orang sama je. But what is different you and other pharmacists? It's a leadership. And then what your contribution to the facilities to the public? Yes, I agree with Dr. Salma. This is the time you have extended 2 years to gain as much knowledge you can lah, or the MTech, or the maybe some of the project, and then maybe the senior or the HOD or the KJF may tell the kementerian, or this, I want this person because this is our future, the cream of the cream pharmacists to be our next generation pharmacist leader. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much to everyone. So one of the key points from this is that the policy always change. and we should always like the one of the, like I really like what Mr. Arahi actually said. What the only consistent thing is inconsistency. So we also always need to be ready to actually to accept the changes, I would say. Just now, I think that Dr. Salma and also Dr. Azwana actually did talk about something that about like personal perception and so personal attitudes of the young pharmacists. So why let us actually zoom into that that particular segment right now. So for Dr. Salma and Dr. Azwana, I would like to ask, right, how do you think that this contract pharmacy should persist to get the best out of the opportunity and also out of this opportunity, the UF44K establishment, and also what kind of attitudes may be able to help them to grow their horizon and also widen more opportunities for themselves. Like just now, Dr. Azwana actually did mention that it could be something that when actually selecting like post like the contract selections to be absorbed, they will look into leadership and etc. etc. Like, can we actually elaborate more from there? Like, what kind of attitudes and also what kind of like what kind of perceptions they need to have in order for them to actually stand up among themselves, and also not only for future, not only like for their better attitude in general. Sorry. Like maybe Dr. Azwana want to start first, then maybe we can have Dr. Sama to actually give inputs after that.
Okay, this is the same like we are talking about just now. Okay, for me, I'm just to be head of Department of Pharmacy in hospital just about 7 months ago. Before this, in HQ. But when I entered the ground facilities, and then in my opinion, I think of better previous year, maybe the last 10 years, all the pharmacist contract. Because we can select. No, because when I review the personality of all the permanent, call it permanent UF44, UF48 yang permanent in the hospital setting. Some of them macam it's not like us yang sama dulu. This young generation is just kerja berkira. Sorry to say lah, memang I for me memang some not all lah, a few kerja berkira macam okay dia dah kerja tak ada, kita suruh buat macam extra pun macam alah dia dapat kerja juga, dapat gaji juga kan macam tu. For me kalau macam tu maybe better we select them through the interview. For me macam Dr. Sama said, most of the yang pharmacy yang serap is from the KK kan, tapi very few of them are from the hospital setting, but maybe something like the judgment of the head of to mark the LMPT or the marking system in the PRP may be different lah, because in the KK the expectation is not high as a hospital setting. For me, opportunity for the UF44, UF41 PRP, UF44 contract to be what could say different with other pharmacies lah. You have to take it more effort. Jangan macam only yang schedule saja kerja yang buat. Maybe you can contribute extra. Maybe you join all the pameran, you all to be handled, not just joining, but to give the ideas. Maybe volunteer to be a leader. This
to
is
be more proactive lah, I would say.
Yes, proactive. Yes, proactive. For me, itulah macam sorry to say lah, this younger generation ni bila I tanya kenapa dia kata stress. I want to share one of my staff lah. Dia kata dia stress, dia 48, dia kata dia stress because dia nak kerja macam dulu yang masa dekat district hospital yang mana kerja dia macam simple, tak stress. Dia kata masa tu dia baru habis PRP 41. So saya kata, you tak boleh compare lah 48 with the 41. Because 48, we give you more, what?
More salary.
More responsibility, responsibility kan. You kena handle all the your colleague kan. Macam kalau you nak kerja tak stress 41, maybe you give me back dah the salary kan, macam tu kan. Because every nak katakan stress, I told to every of my staff, my stress level is very high. Macam I rasa so far 23 years I kerja, macam tak ada stress kot. Kan, because that's why I give I told to my pharmacist, stress, everybody ada stress. Mana-mana kerja you ada stress. Kalau you tak test, you tak normal sebenarnya. But the how you come up, you settle down your stress, itu saja saya kata. I think not only ilmu in the pharmacist, they or the young pharmacists have to go further to gain more knowledge on the in the macam ilmu yang bukan pharmacy, maksudnya how to manage your time, how to manage your stress. This is to help them to improve in their career lah. That's all.
Okay, so be proactive and also to need to have a self-growth in actually managing own stress level and all those actually are some of the important factors like being addressed by Dr. Azwana. How about Dr. Salma? Like, do you have maybe more advice for these young pharmacists? Like, what kind of attitudes they need to embrace? They need to have in order to embrace the changes, and also for this new establishment or F44 in order for them to harness more opportunity. Yeah. Dr. Salma, I think the mic is not on yet. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
When I retire, I have my tenure with Ministry of Health is for 35 years. But 14 of my early years was in the hospital. Okay. And as I mentioned just now, we started off with only 3 pharmacies in the hospital. Okay, we started 2, 3, and we went on. So the main thing is to have a very open mind with a very positive that I can do it. Okay, you have given, as I mentioned just now, it's a blessing in disguise that you all are in this situation. However, you all are better than the other profession. You all are better than the lawyers. You all are better than, to me, you all are better than the doctors. Because from the PRP time, you all have got a choice, either to do your PRP in the public sector or in the private sector. Okay, but the doctors know they have to do it 2 years in the hospital, in MOH hospital or the Ministry of Education's hospital. So at that time itself, you all are already having the advantage. So be positive. This is, you all are better than the others. Even the lawyers during their privilege time, you know, when they are doing through chambering on those things, you only got what, $500, $600, $700 per month. But you all are getting already what is already, around how many thousand, Sean? When during privilege?
During privilege,
the allowance.
The figures I actually like forgot. Yeah, sorry.
So it's definitely
about 3,000 plus. About 3,000 plus. 3,000 plus
already during privilege, right? So so have a positive mind, and during the in the hospital, as I mentioned just now, jangan berkira. Okay, I know some of the situation in the hospital, they put the contract officers only in outpatient or inpatient, right? But situation differs, never mind. And in some, and whether you all join, in the rotation, because you have got the rotation in terms of time rotation and then the timetable and all those. Whether you are offered to do the MTech and all those, never mind, because you can still gain experience when you are in inpatient or outpatient, and you are at the front line. So that will be an opportunity in case your contract terms expired in 31st December 2023, and you all are not selected to maintain. I mean, even JPA gave a few more posts, might not all will be selected, as what Puan Azwana was saying during the interview. You look at the evaluation, you look at leadership, you look at how open-minded you all are. So that will be your package to offer to the employers in the private sector. I have this. No, you have to compete now also when you after that term to be in the private sector, because those employers, the employers in the private sector, the pharmacists, we have got a vast scope of work there, from retail to manufacturing, and it's better than the doctors, because the doctors, why are they harping now to stay on? Because the private sector will not accept them, without experience, without being with all those experience, being a specialist especially. So with this, you all can bring along, your package, what you can offer, your experience, what in the public sector. So have an open mind, be positive. Okay, thank you.
Open mind and positive. These are the key words, and also I will believe this is actually applicable to all sectors, I would say.
I want to add to the Dr. Sarmas. Maybe because in a hospital setting, and maybe it's true. Most of the contract kita put on to the pharmacy in hospital lah, pharmacy klinik pakar, counter kan, because that I think dekat counter, it's not only the contract pharmacy, we have the permanent pharmacists there also. Because why we put more effort or more staff in the FKP, because it's I think kalau collapse or the clinic is collapse, the pharmacy or the whole pharmacy is collapse, I think, because because macam di counter, the pharmacy, all the KPI, QAP is there. KPI is not only for hospital. KPI, this is from the waiting time within 30 minutes, from the YBMK punya KPI to the DG KPI to our pengarah punya KPI, to the pengarah hospital KPI, and also the KPI of the head of department KJF lah. But in that area, you can establish your skills lah. You can increase your counseling skill. You can increase your communication skill, handle crisis skill, manage patient, how to manage patient. Biasalah patient kalau tunggu lama dia macam marah lah, bukan, how you handle the situation, how you handle the crisis. You can handle all the errors. Kita tahu kan macam banyak prescription errors dekat situ kan. Macam kita boleh juga increase our MTech skills lah. This, like Dr. Salma said, we can sell ourselves. Kalau kita pergi di private, we can sell. This is I have this one to offer to you. That's all I want to add to Dr. Salma's punya point.
Okay, how about Encik Amramhi? Do you have any other wise words for the young pharmacists on this?
Well, basically, when Dr. Salma say things and Dr. Azwana also say things, I agree with what they have said. I think the key point here is basically if you compare to other professions, especially the medical. What I found out, especially when I'm in MPS, is that the leadership skill is lacking. I don't want to say about anyone. I just want to say about myself. Okay, the way I develop my leadership skill actually from school, Okay, after that, then when I enter campus, I'm a very active student. Meaning I go for campus elections, Okay, until that stage, So meaning that, we have to actually nurture and so on and so forth. But it's never late, to start it off, okay, because people can change. And to change, there are three things that I want to share. Number one is knowledge. Number two is skills. And the third one, the most important thing is attitude. So I want to share with you the formula, yeah. Okay, when you talk about anything like, you want to talk about output, quality, anything, is exactly knowledge plus skills within bracket times attitude. So imagine, during your student days, you have all the knowledge. Maybe during your PRP, you can harness a little bit of your skills. But if you time your attitude, if your attitude are good, even you have less knowledge or less skill, your output will be better than the one who actually have high knowledge, high skill, but lack of attitude. Negative attitude, down. You're not being fair to oneself. Yeah, I'm not too sure whether I'm a good example, but I'm trying to say, as I rightly mentioned by Dr. Sama, I also served for PPM for 35 years. Never in a day, I drag my feet to come to work. Never in a day, I drag my feet to go to work. Why? Because we know that the patient need us. You know why this is the good thing about working in hospital, because in working in hospital, of course, in this is most challenging, but the most important is the fact that, you can see, suffering, people come to hospital because they are suffering. And we are supposed to remove, we are supposed to help in this one. So it's a very noble profession. So I think the most important thing is there, we have to do that. So I'm sure with all the PRP that we talk about experiential learning, I think when you go into the next year for the to continue that, I think you have to change already. Right? Rightly mentioned when you talk about U41, 44, etc., 48, 52, 51, and so on and so forth. I agree with Dr. Azwana. It's all about responsibility. I'm not too sure I'm going to say this. Maybe my imagination will be wild. Do you know that with the what you call the package that we have in terms of time base, I directly going to imagine all the front counters are U54. I can imagine it, I mean, to be honest. Okay, so because previously, I'm not to say that we have to compare with the previous, because previously, it's not economical, isn't it? You imagine that U54 working at the counters, and if you compare to other professions, U54 is actually controlling state. You're in charge of one state, So that's why the other professional actually, when they look at us, wow, lucky lah, doctors, pharmacists, dentists, like this. So on the part of MPS, okay, we are saying to the government, look, we cannot change that because it's a government policy. Kan you dah bagi ke orang, macam ni you nak tukar-tukar, betul kan? So we say that, okay, let's move. Of course, benda boleh tukar kan? So we move to 56, for example. Okay, and fight. That means when you go to 56, you got to fight already. So that we are talking about proper leaders, Maybe Dr. Azwana is a leader in that hospital. Whoever is the chief pharmacist are all leaders, and people expect from us leaders, yeah? I do not know about how other people practice. I always love the young ones, okay? Especially my PRP, or even the new staff. When they come to report in, when they come to report for duty, whether they're PRP, I will meet them. But the new employee, I will meet on the day of when they come to report duty, they must see me. You know what I will do? I will give them a piece of blank paper. I told them, I'm not going to chart your future. I'll give you a blank paper. You're going to write your performance. I don't write your performance. You are going to write your performance. You got to show to me that you perform. There's no evidence. That's why I say I give you a blank paper. And I don't have anything to gain to fail you. Nothing. You know, so this is a very important thing that we have to put, because we got to determine our future, not let others to determine ours, you know. So whether we are stressed or not stressed, or whether we can to look it positively or negatively, doesn't really matter. But most important thing, maybe the others can agree with me, actually, come to think of it, when you talk about our total life, most of the time we spend in our office. So that's why it's very important, you know. So if you don't perform, rugi, really is going to be rugi in life, because that's all the opportunity you have. All right, everything is opportunity. Every day is a different day. All right, I always tell the juniors, you tell me, what did you learn today? I always go and ask, hey, what did you learn today? Must be something new. You must learn something new every day. Every day you must learn. Then only you talk about, you know, about to have a positive skill. So these are very important. So, but I think that, and of course you have to enjoy whatever that you're doing. Like I mentioned, I never drag my feet. So this is something that, and lastly, I think that, you know, for the sake of the profession, we really need to change our paradigm. All right, and we have to be competitive. All right, now we after the what you call the pandemic, we're talking about a reset. Okay, and now we have new opportunities. So let's begin, you know, with this year, with take opportunity of this one. Nobody going to stop us to practice telepharmacy, you know. So there are a lot of things we will discuss later. But these are up to respond to answer that one. So thank you, Sean.
Thank you very much. So I would like to make I think there's actually a lot of questions are flowing in. We will actually address some of them, like maybe in between of the topics, and also we will actually address some of them in the end of the questions. But I think the take-home message from this part, which is this second question, is something that very powerful, that I think for contract pharmacists, we all really need to know, or we always need to be proactive, be open-minded, and also we need to have a position ourselves in the right attitudes of where we are, why we are there. And also when we are in a public setting, I think what Prof. Thomas, like I think Dr. Sama did mention, just now, Prof. Thomas actually mentioned one thing: you need to practice as if like you are going to practice until you retire, which is at the 6 of 60, even though you are the contract pharmacist. Because with that mentality and perceptions, you will actually be able to commit yourself in whatever you do. This is something that not only in public sectors, what they actually treasure, the qualities that they actually treasure, but even in private sectors, people will see it differently, and the opportunities will come eventually. So these are the take-home message that I think that we the young pharmacists may need to actually look at it. I would say that I would like to re-emphasize that this is actually intellectual discussions, meaning that we actually open up for giving open and also safe zone for the discussions, and also sharing of opinions by our seniors, and also we also open for the questions by the junior pharmacists or the pharmacists on ground. So do actually come in with more Q&A, so that we can actually have to answer and clarify your thoughts and all those things, and we give a right directions and all, because I think today the panelists here today are actually the right person to answer them all. So maybe what I would like to have a quick question just to Dr. Azwana. This question is a very quick one. So as a HOD, as a KPF of the hospital, so do you think that these contract pharmacists should get themselves ready to shoulder more responsibility, since they have a longer period of serving in their respective healthcare facilities? Because previously, UF41s, once they finish a permanent compulsory service, they maybe have another 1 year of servicing only, which has the third-year contract. I mean, before COVID-19. But since right now they are being extended for another 2 years to serve under UF44 contract flag. So do you think that they should actually get themselves ready to shoulder more responsibility, because like they will eventually being in the facilities longer, and also they are actually, in terms of the period of serving, in terms of periods of serving, they actually are equivalent to those that are permanents like UF44 and all. So do you think that they should get themselves ready for it, and and also, like, do you think that as a HOD will you actually and trust them with this responsibility, and also maybe what we call as some portfolios. Yeah.
For me, they should ready when they start their PRP. Because we evaluate them, isn't it? If we evaluate them or the logbook, we evaluate them or the NMPT, because they're carrying marks. So for me, they have to get ready since they enter the first day of the PRP. So now for me, HOD, yes, we have, but in my hospital, not many contract in hospital, but yeah, depends on the situation of numbers of pharmacists in our hospital and our crowd of the counters lah. Then maybe we have enough, then we can start to give them opportunity to go for clinical. Maybe for me, I just want to share my experience when I enter as a KGF in hospital, the Kujafar. For me, the area store, integrasi, clinical pharmacy, sterile and non-sterile. I publish the advertisement to all my pharmacists. Siapa yang nak try masuk these areas? Yeah, I work Google form and then I select. Because for me, this their opportunity to gain more experience in these areas lah. But ramai yang minta, tapi kita akan bagi semua lah kan, then kita select lah. So this is the right time to them bila ada macam peluang macam ni, KGF offer siapa yang nak join these units, then they can apply. This for me lah, I don't know what other facilities lah. So for me, macam I tak just cakap tadi, if you was in the counter, you can also can gain experience and then polish your skills in that area lah, or the counseling communication. Because yeah, kita tahu kan dekat lately ni banyak case kan kat counter, because of apa? Communication. Maybe I tak tahu salah siapa, tapi my hospital pun memang banyak. Bila sekarang ni kan memang waiting time pun memang out ya, tak sampai pun 95% within 30 minutes. Baru capai 80%. Tapi ada yang faham, ada pasien yang faham, ada pasien yang macam mengamuk jugalah. Tapi kita tahu ada somebody yang di sana tu yang boleh calm down and handle the crisis. That's the people yang kita nak sebenarnya. Because sometimes kita nak handle manusia lebih susah daripada yang lain sebenarnya. For me ya, siapa yang dah 44 contract ni, you boleh try. Tapi kalau macam KGF tak offer pun, cuba tanya. I rasa I nak try dekat mana? I rasa macam I nak gain some knowledge in this area ke apa ke, try. Kita tak cuba tak tahu kan. Jangan kata bos nak bagi dia terima sajalah macam tu kan. Tak, you boleh try. Kalau bos kata you sesuai, then boleh, apa salahnya? Maybe you can polish dekat clinical ke. Maybe kita clinical pun dah memang pharmacy memang dah macam dipandang tinggi dekat hospital. Macam doktor sepakat pun kata we need pharmacy in hospital, in the ward. Yes, we can increase the numbers of pharmacy in the clinical setting lah. Yes, that's all.
Okay, so a further question, Dari, one of our Q&A, right? Actually, it mentions that for contract they have I'm not sure whether it's correct or not. For contract pharmacies, they have lesser chance of being sent to kursus or training. In view of contract pharmacies, they might leave any time from the setting. So, do you think that for, let's say, the establishment of UF44K, they would have a change of this, or maybe it's different from different facilities? I would say, like, what do you think about it? Like, are they being given opportunity to actually to join these kursus as well?
For me, sama. You contact ke tak contact pun, because you nak serve the public, you mesti kena ada knowledge kan. Sama lah kan, kena sama. So for me, sekarang ni dah mudah sikit sebab kita ada virtual kan. You nak hantar berapa banyak pun boleh kan. Boleh sekarang ni lebih mudah. I think I nak cakap thanks to COVID, boleh lah kan. That's because dia membuka jalan, kita ada buat CME virtual. I think every week we have ada seminar, we have macam kalau jauh pun kita boleh hantar kan, tapi kita tak boleh hantar semua lah, siapa jaga kaunter macam tu kan. So for me dengan my hospital sama saja, sebab mereka pun kena ada CPD point untuk di fulfill kan. Sama je saya rasa. Kalau nak kalau macam dia sekarang ni saya lebih suka kalau mereka bukan saja mendengar. Mungkin kalau ada macam ada department macam dia nak ada topik yang pharmacy kena, dia nak pharmacy to talk, kita push them to increase dia punya how they handle CME, kita how dia punya skill untuk communication kepada contoh-contoh jangan besar-besar lah, mungkin pada nurses ke, mungkin or to the houseman doctors ke, boleh they can start to give certain topics lah, kita mula macam tu lah.
Alright, so I think one of the key points actually I get is like I also want to actually maybe reflect to our contract pharmacists further. How often that did you actually ask for it? Did you actually try to ask ask for maybe your boss, your head of department, like maybe you want to try on this opportunity, maybe you would like to have this? How often did you actually try to show your proactiveness in asking? It actually makes some difference.
Sean, can just I add on to Dr. Azwana's. As mentioned just now, different hospitals may be a different situation from the KPF to the other pharmacists, and also to the, I wouldn't want to call them contract pharmacists. To me, all of them are pharmacists in the hospital. Okay, the front line of the hospital pharmacy is the outpatient pharmacy. So that is where kita punya image, kita punya KPI as what mana. So maybe I think lepas ni the young pharmacist chapter boleh together with Puan Azwana, let's have but this has to be a win-win situation. It has to come from both parties, okay? Because this side will say that the contract pharmacist macam Puan Azwana katalah tak nak, I'm just a contract, I do not want to take up this opportunity. And then maybe the KPF pun kata, they are just going to be here for 2 years, why should we? No, to me, both sides have to play their role now. And we have to start talking. We will have to start they are all pharmacists, they are all us. They are all presenting our profession to our other colleagues, to the patient, because in the public sector, yes, walau the pharmacy kata tak ada communication skill ke, and all those kind do not want, the patient has to be there. But in the public sector, private sector, patient will come again if the pharmacists have good communication skill and they counsel you well and all those kind of thing. So after this, I think YPC and maybe Dr. Azwana, the chapter, MPS chapter for our government pharmacists, together with our present senior director, have a discussion. All our pharmacists, they are all they are pharmacists, they are our profession, they are our mirror. Yeah. So to the patient, to the people, to the other profession. So that's why you say let's have same platform, sama. Okay.
Yeah, Sean,
Yes.
I just want to add a little bit because I agree with what Dr. Salma and Dr. Azwana said.
All right.
Just one additional point. Yeah. Number one, we must work as a team. Everyone must be a member of a team. Maybe the outpatient team, for example. Okay, that's one point. The other one is basically to really understand the patient journey. You see, when you talk about what Dr. Sama has mentioned, Dr. Azwana mentioned about what happened in counters, it's actually the patient, you got to understand the patient journey is very, very important. Right? In my practice previously, one of the things I like to do is actually for this young PRP or even young pharmacists, I want them to feel as a patient opposite of our counter. They must feel as a patient, you know, how to wait, is the numbering system okay or not, is the communication skill okay or not, how do a patient face difficulty in the prescription, how do patients feel when they have problem with supplies, and so on and so forth. So this aspect of teamwork is very, very important. So a team is a team, and every member of the team is very, very important. All right, if one fails, the whole thing fails. You know, so these are the things that we, and our strength is because of, especially for dispensing. Okay, the keyword is medication safety. If we don't understand medication safety, then we cannot become a pharmacist, because the difference between us and the doctors is our emphasis on medication safety. You know, and we know the practice in GP or whatever in wherever they are doing it's not a safe practice. We know, you know, because we screen prescription. We know already. You know, I've shared this with MOH, because I also will be part of the National Patient Safety Committee Council and so on and so forth. We also work on prescribing errors and so on and so forth. And you can see the input of the pharmacist is huge. When we, you know, you can go to the guideline, the recent guideline from the National Patient Safety, the prescribing guideline is actually a lot of input is come from pharmacists, you know, for prescribing errors, and the doctors got to admit. So these are the things that we really have to push. You know, really have to push. Yeah. So I think these are the things that I want to add. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. I want to respond to the sorry ya, macam I nak tambah ya, macam sorry to the pharmacist contract yang dekat STJ tu, kalau ada dalam ni, sorry dulu sometimes because this UF contract all the 41 contract ke 44 contract ke, sometimes mereka yang anggap mereka tu contract sebenarnya. So macam last year kan, for I open advertisement for the MTech, all the MTechs in STJ lah. I kata semua pharmacist mesti at least ada satu MTech, join satu MTech. Bila dah end kan, semua dah buat, I kata semua dah ada kan, dia kata semua dah kecuali pharmacy contract. What? Saya kata, mereka ni bukan pharmacist ke? Saya kata kan. So then I kata tak ada, kalau tak ada, to see all the pharmacy contract ni put in the MTech warfarin. Saya kata, sekarang saya paksa semua, kena ada MTech at least one. Kadang-kadang bukan kita yang mengendapkan daripada kontak. I tak kenal pun siapa kontak ke. Bagaimana I tak tahu sebenarnya. I pun dah 200 plus staff kan, mana nak kira satu-satu. Mereka yang kadang-kadang menganggap mereka tu kontak sebenarnya. Dia kena change the perception lah. Macam I nak kerja walaupun I kontak, tapi I rasa I nak kerja sampai I hire ataupun sampai 60 pension kan. Bila time dia dah stop tu stop lah. Itu tak adil lah kan. Tapi anggapkan mereka tu sebenarnya bukan kontrak, kerja kena betul kerja.
Okay, understood.
So maybe it's good we have Dr. Azwana, the KPF, with that attitude, with that
agree.
Mind. So I minta, I still remember Tuan Haji Malik, formerly was KPF of Hospital Melaka. You know, I'm talking about team. Tuan Haji Azman, everybody is part of the team. So when he introduced his pharmacists, when he started the MTech and all the clinical pharmacists, my team. And so both sides, jangan for the contract pharmacists, don't call yourself contract anymore. I'm part of the team. And even for the KPF pun, macam kata Dr. Azwana, they are all my team. So kalau you have that attitude, that kind of thing, lagi sekarang on this platform, then everybody will perform.
Correct.
Everybody will have an open mind. Macam kata Tuan Haji Amrahi lah. Kita ni dulu, we never drag. We never drag ourselves. Walaupun ada anak, you have got problem with maid and all those can. No, we want time to work. lunchtime call ke, lunch call ke, you have to work after 4 because patient tak habis ke, you be there with a happy mind, you have to smile, you still have to smile. Tak boleh rude dengan patient, all those kind of thing, Okay, thanks.
Okay, so I would like to make a conclusion before we go into the next questions. Next question. So I would say that for these questions, actually, like what can we do is like Mr. Arami said, the focus is medication safety itself. The big focus in medication safety, all pharmacies, regardless your contract or non-contract, and regardless which level you are currently a contract pharmacist, whether you are management level, HOD, or whosoever, you should actually align to this. What opportunities to be given to this any junior pharmacist or any pharmacist is that ultimately it should be creating a conducive places that medication safety can be practiced. So another pharmacists create combat the credibility and also the skills can be improved in order to achieve that. So I think the open mind concept needs to be adopted by all parties, whether the contract pharmacist, you need to think yourself as the member of the healthcare team itself in order to have a better service. And maybe to the HOD or management level, it's like you need to accept the fact that they are part of the team. In order to improve the team, you need to be inclusive and also to give them the opportunities that need to improve themselves. And ultimately, the riot can be served, and the medication safety and pharmacy professional can be actually being improved from there. So I think that this is something very important. I would like to go into the next questions. The next question I will read direct to Inche Aramhi. So we actually talked about a contract for the past 50 minutes. So right now we actually want to talk about something. Contract actually definitely is like, in a general term, contract is something that is a term and time of serving or being enclosed and also being stated in the contract itself. There's definitely a definite time. So we would like to zoom into the seamless transition. He did talk about the blue oceans last time. So what kind of, like, in this context is like, what kind of assistance and what kind of mechanisms is required to facilitate the transitions of these people from a government to private sectors or even to other sectors? And also what needs to be done to prepare this contract pharmacy in these transitions? Because I think in part of the question Q&A, people did mention that there's a lot of positions actually open for the private, but a lot of them maybe reject or they might see it differently. So maybe we would like Incha Ramhi to enlighten us like about the blue oceans that one you see as a president, and also what kind of things that we can assist them in the transitioning of the period from government to private. Like, the floor is yours.
I think you remember Dr. Sama mentioned about the earlier stage where people do not want to work in government. You know, everybody want to work in private sector at that time because their pay may be 2 or 3 times than what we have in the government. All right. In fact, at that time, people belittle us, you know. Tak bagus ya kerja dekat public. Now the thing has flipped. Okay, 2 things actually has affected us. Number 1 is what you call the compulsory service. The second one is actually the time-based lah. So it is a challenge. So what happened is that the red ocean now is in the public sector. The blue ocean are now in the private sector. So when we talk about blue ocean, we're talking about less competition lah. Okay, I'm talking about relative competition here. Okay, so then there's a lot of opportunity. You know, do you know that I always what you call attend? You know, this white coat ceremony. White coat ceremony with various university people like to call me. You know, after that, then you know what are the message that I always give to them. Number 1, I will say that, you know, we want to become pharmacists. We must be proud to become pharmacists. If not, you know, why you take pharmacy in the first place, right? The second point I would say to them, you know, when we want to become a pharmacist, be a real professional lah. So all this need knowledge and skill, all right? So it's very important for us to be ready because decision have to be made when we graduate. All right, maybe at this point, if I'm a young pharmacist now, just graduate, maybe I'll go to the private because blue ocean, there's no competition. You know, I'll get my, you know, my knowledge and skill. You imagine 4 years nowadays, you want to extend until you're 54, you know, you got 4 years of experience, you know. We are talking about what? Skill sets. You got to identify your skill sets. Then only you can sell yourself. Do you know that, as I mentioned in my opening speech, the pharmacy is a diversified profession. I mean, this is odd. Now I'm going to share with you, Sean, because I didn't share this before, Do you know that, just want to share with you, in Jakim, now, when they want to go for the halal pharmaceutical standards, all right, they don't have pharmacists, when they want to do the audit. You know what happened now? They employ pharmacists. Do you know that pharmacists are now is available in Halal Development Corporation? I can show you more. And this is just one small area, So you can see the amount of opportunities in the private sector is beyond imagination. I did mention about telepharmacy. I did mention about digital pharmacy, and it's all related with online, commerce and so on and so forth. So MPS is very concerned because in line with FIP, we need to prepare our young generation to face this changing world. This technology is changing, I'm sure you know that, we have now a lot of innovative, services involving pharmacists, even to send medicine to home. And patients are paying, So that's why I don't understand, why should we actually put ourselves in a corner and not start thinking there's a lot of opportunities in the private sector, and then to do all this. Another point, Sean, when you talk about anything now, what MPS is fighting is pay for professional services. And we have got one from MOH already. For example, regarding the quit smoking, for example, MQuit services. Now MPS is the one that organized all this. All the private MQuit practitioner all have to be under MPS, including doctors. That's the recognition by MOH to us because of our consistent of deliver that professional service. And we will go on and go on. I can talk to you about all the opportunities. You talk about medication reconciliation. We can do in the community pharmacies. I can see because I've been on the ground regarding community pharmacy practice. Okay, since 2014 before I retire. And then, I mean, with that 8 years of going, to the ground and understand, I can see now, after the pandemic, they really are flying to the sky. Because the government are not able to address the loss. How do you address telepharmacy? Because the doctors also are doing it. All right? And then, do you know that even in cases where the doctor provide e-prescribing, now they are working as pharmacists. So the issue of dispensing separation now with e-prescription is not an issue. These are things that I feel we have to change the mindset, So it's up to you. So if you know how to do these skill sets, okay, I tell you, if you talk to the private sector, you can name your price. Because you can do this. You can do this. So that's why MPS role is to equip these pharmacists to practice and certify. I'm sure you're aware, other than the MQuit, we've done by the National Academy of Pharmacy under Dr. Haniki. We also have started our vaccination, okay? Because we have to prepare for the future. Because other countries are doing it for adult vaccination, we have to be ready. We cannot say, we cannot ask the government, oh, look, let's the pharmacists vaccinate without any, credentialing and whatever. So we prepare all this. So I'm going for medication, safety medication reconciliation, or even MTech. We have done that. So I think this is something that we need to go. So because I think important is that we have to certify them. Right. And other areas I tell you is basically we talk about things that is under the Poison Act in terms of preventive care and promotive care. We have to become leaders because community pharmacy is the hub, the health hub of the community. It's not a drug shop. So we don't have, we don't have that problem at the moment, because now the community can accept pharmacists are like this. Despite the challenges with the face mask, despite the challenges with the self-test kits, they will come to pharmacies because they know the only challenge that we're having now is the professional fees. So of course, I'm waiting for the laws. I think YBKG also mentioned in the recent speech, we have to explore, and I'm not too sure, but MPS is ready. We have to liberate ourselves, lah. We cannot expect other people to check our future, and that's why MPS is very important. If you compare pharmaceutical societies across the globe, they are very powerful. The Philippines are very powerful. I haven't mentioned New Zealand. I haven't mentioned Australia, and so on and so forth. So I think, but for us to move that, I need to combine all the factors in. The academicians have to come in. The practitioners have to come in, and all this. But at the end of the day, we still want to serve the rakyat and the nation, because I think the most important thing now they are going to change the policy. Okay, meaning that they are talking about transformation and so on and so forth. So to me, be ready for the change, or maybe we actually, make the change. And I can see that the things are changing. So also in the industry and so on and so forth. The only thing that we are lacking now, which I feel so, I don't feel good about it, is actually we lose our touch in manufacturing. Okay, we have problem with academician to deliver our all this in our universities at the moment. After that, the follow up is not there. If you compare to the late Professor Dr. Zahri, the way he actually get knowledge from ITB, it's all the what you call the pharmaceutical industry based, manufacturing based. We lost it. You name me who actually can lead all this. I can't. It's a great loss, because now other people are going into industries and they are taking the, the quality, the manufacturing, whatever they're taking over. So we have to get it back. We have to strengthen our pharmaceutical chemistry, formulation, and so on and so forth. All right. For example, even a simple thing as type of medication. For example, you talk about Panadol per se. You know how many types of Panadol?
That's a lot.
The pharmacist must know. But when we explain, janganlah cerita begini-begini for this body. Cannot. You must explain why it is like that. You must express your knowledge. Okay, why this form is for this? Why? You got to explain. That's where we lost. The application part is lost. And last point, there's a lot of clinical pharmacy in the private sector. Don't forget. There's a lot of opportunity, because my understanding of clinical pharmacy is direct patient contact, direct patient interaction with patient. That is clinical. Because I can still remember my doctor colleagues. Well, I was actually trying to explain to him about clinical pharmacy. Kata Amrai, what is this clinical pharmacy? He didn't understand the word clinical pharmacy. So in order for us to be on the same level as them, just use, as long as you interact directly with the patient, involving treatment, etc., you are actually doing clinical work. And this is actually something that this principle is also accepted by FIP. So I just explained what blue ocean in the private sector. Thank you.
Sorry, just to add on regarding this seamless transition. Okay, it just lost my mind regarding the compulsory service, how we managed to get more pharmacists in the hospital. Okay, because at that time, everybody wants to go to the private sector. Nobody wants to come. So we have to come, the policy change, okay, compulsory service. You have to serve us, then only you, how many years, and then only you can go out. Okay, so, and the term besides clinical pharmacy is pharmaceutical care. Pharmaceutical care is a very strong term, which encompasses, the scope is so wide. So when you are, how are you going to get credentialed, being certified okay, if you don't get your experience, your knowledge when you are in the public sector. This is where you get your knowledge, you get your skill, and as what Tuan Haji Amrahi was saying, then you times your attitude, good attitude, very good attitude, then only you can go on to, when you go to the private sector, you can get yourself credentialed, you can get yourself accredited. Okay, having pharmacists to be accredited for vaccination is the way forward for community pharmacists. When you are overseas, you see those in the clinical, in the community pharmacy, pharmacists injecting, administrating. We got a prescription for antibiotic and this, and the pharmacist is administrating. So we are going to go forward that. So as for those here now, when you all, let's say, after 2 years, at the end of 2023, the number of the pharmacists that will be absorbed into the public sector will definitely will not be up to 1,960. You all have to go off, right? So with this, you all can sell yourself to the private sector, compete.
Correct.
That is the blue ocean now.
Correct.
However, for one thing, when you sell yourself, be open, right? Be open. Tak apa, you know, maybe for the private sector at that time, they can't pay, you know, this is public, the employee, how much you pay, and then all this payment is for negotiation, how much you have, right? So for the time being, as what Encik Amrahi was saying, Tuan Haji Amrahi was saying, the blue ocean is the other side. Prepare yourself. And this is a compliment for all pharmacists. My experience as a hospital pharmacist and everywhere as senior pharmacist, the pharmacists, our pharmacists are the most innovative. You all are very innovative. I think Tuan Haji Amrahi, Dr. Azwana, you know, we got the from MPC, the anugerah, being innovative, you know, and all the and the MOH, not MOH, I think is the public sector in terms of innovative, the pharmacy program, you know, and our pharmacists, and I tell you, our pharmacists are the most innovative. So you talk about telemedicine, you talk about now I'm already one part of the people, right? When you talk about those, when the patient was saying, oh, nak tak apa, kita pergi pharmacy. You can get this from the pharmacy, you can get explanation from the pharmacist. So that is the blue ocean. So don't be frustrated. Jangan lagi I do not want to, I want to stay in the public sector. No. Gain as much of knowledge, gain of that skill, and then move yourself there. If ever you all are not being absorbed. Thank you.
Yes. So because of the time constraint, I would like to go into the next one. Maybe Dr. Azwana can take the next questions. Yeah. So why not? I just want to highlight on these things. We need to be ready for change, or we be the change itself. Pharmacists actually has a lot of opportunity. If you look at 10 years back and right now, pharmacists have grown from where we were, and right now where we are right now. We actually have a lot of things that we can see. I would say that for all contract pharmacists, you all, if let's say you guys really want to explore and what are the opportunities outside, what are the opportunities out from the hospital or from the public sectors, join MPS. MPS will give you already horizons, opportunities, and like you have to see a lot of things. In the meantime, try to engage with more people outside there. You will see things differently, and you won't really isolate yourself in the view that you need to be there. Wherever you are, as long as you bring the right mentality of serving the people and also want to be the harness of the medication safety, you can actually continue to serve wherever it is in the private sectors or where we are. I myself actually is part of the actually part of telemedicine and also telepharmacy and all those things. I do see myself still continue serving, or even though I actually left the government setting. It is the opportunity is up there. I would say that we all always need to be ready to change, to maybe to explore and also to make an impact. So the last question is to Dr. Azwana before we go into Q&A. Q&A sessions all panelists will need to be ready. You guys maybe can scroll through right now. We have around 17 questions, although we won't go through all, but we will go to the last, maybe the last question of the day of the panel sessions to Dr. Azwana. Then we will open up the sessions, Q&A sessions to all panelists. So Dr. Azwana, I would like to ask, so do you think that because since right now you are actually still practicing in the MOH itself, so you did mention that MOH pharmacists actually they are being explored to like MPEG and all those things, and also like medications, reconciliations, and all other ambulatory services. Like so, and also Mr. Aram did mention that in the community itself, they are expanding service right now, expanding service in the sense that they are looking into health hub concept of the community service. How do you think specifically for the contract pharmacists or government pharmacies in general that going to transit in there will bring value to them? How do you see that they actually can bring value to these sectors, like accelerating the changes and accelerating the involvement of pharmacists in different things? How do you think the skills they're actually having right now can actually make a difference? Like, do you mind to give your points of view, and also maybe we can actually have a quick one from Dr. Sama Insha Aramhi later also. Dr. Azwana.
Okay, okay for me kalau dalam Islam kata apa-apa kerja tu bermula dengan niat ya. We have make the right mindset lah, the right mentality. I not share my experience, tapi for myself lah kan, since I start my service, every morning before I go to the work, I ada pasal niat. One of my niat is, ya Allah Tuhanku, aku pergi kerja ini untuk membantu orang lain dan membantu pesakit-pesakitku. Oleh itu kau mudahkan segala urusanku. Bila once you niat macam tu, everything you akan kerja tu, you tak rasa macam iri hati ke negative thing, tak ada. You kerja sebenarnya untuk passion sebenarnya kan. Okay, for macam after kita dengar tadi Tuan Haji Amrahi cakap tadi, saya rasa lepas ni nanti government kena compete dengan public, private kot kan. Semua dah kata macam wah, baru terbuka mata private ni banyak opportunity sebenarnya. Nanti saya rasa memang public pharmacy dengan private pharmacy kena compete. Nak dapat yang the cream of the creams punya pharmacist kan. Okey, macam untuk pengetahuan untuk Salma ya, macam kita memang dah perjuangkan all the kids smoking, dan kita pun perjuangkan juga apa kenali ubat anda. We have a penggunaan ubat berkualiti. We have our duta. For this year pun kita dah involvekan community pharmacy tu involve in the kenali ubat anda. Macam my personal kan, macam I dah nampak kesannya in my real situation, real case. Macam memang kita punya medication safety, siapa yang nak bagi ubat salah kan, tapi kita hanya manusia biasa, kita kadang-kadang terlepas juga ada ubat salah. Tapi yang good thing is the patient ni dia dah tahu dia penggunaan ubat berkualiti, bila nampak salah dia akan tanya balik. Kalau sampai rumah dia akan kenapa ubat ni macam ni ya, dia akan tanya pharmacist lagi. Baik, kalau kita terapkan begini kepada semua all our people, our citizens, our Malaysian, takkan ada macam viral salah tu salah. Dia akan tahu apa channel nak ditanya. Maksudnya macam ni, selain pada MTech, all the contact pharmacist ke, I think bukan contact lah, I suka cakap all the pharmacist lah, contact ke tak contact ke, you are pharmacist. You kena involve all those things yang kita macam government, KKM atau pharmacy, bagian pharmacy dah buat. Sebenarnya kita bukan buat tu untuk membanyakkan kerja you je, tak. Sebenarnya untuk passion sebenarnya, untuk our nation kan. So kalau ada kerana anda ada macam pameran ke, you kena involve semua. For me macam mulakan dengan right mindset lah. Everything will be done better lah for all the pharmacies. Okay, thank you.
Okay, about maybe we have a quick one from Dr. Sama, maybe one or two sentences of Dr. Aramhi, Mr. Aramhi, a quick one for this.
As what Mr. Dr. Azwana was saying, maybe it's a blessing in disguise, this pandemic, you see. And I have friends in the community pharmacy that now patient really comes to the pharmacy, to the community pharmacy and asks for advice. And as what Puan Azwana was saying, the kenali ubat anda, the quality use of medicines issues and everything, our duta, I think they really tell the patient that who are the bukan expert, who are You nak tanya pasal ubat, you tanya siapa? Right? Go to the pharmacy. So whether you are in the hospital or in the private sector, the transition is going to be smooth. They are going to look for you, but you have to practice professionally as a pharmacist. Okay, so itu saja. In terms of seamless transition, don't worry, my dear young pharmacist. You all have chosen the right one. Never, nobody. Bila once you are a pharmacist, nobody. I as for me lah, everybody, we never regret being a pharmacist. I want to be a pharmacist until the end of my life. Okay.
Ramhi, a quick one.
I think the keyword is collaboration. Right. Of course, on the part of MPS, we go wider. Between association, in national body, we will collaborate with the government. I would say that we will welcome any opportunities from the government for the private sector under the PPP approach, the public-private partnership. So we are waiting, and we must get this prepared. The last thing is that I can tell you now, the other healthcare professionals are also looking at us. Okay, and these are all opportunities. I give you a good example, a recent one when I met the president of the the Association of Nation, or what you call optometrists. This optometrist is like MA lah, okay, meaning they're not ophthalmologists, but they are optometrists. Dia bukan jual kedai kemih mata, but they are optometrists because they are doing what you call screening, So when I met the president, they say, come, let's work together, because all this they need medication from pharmacists. So they will refer. When they do this, they will refer to pharmacists. So vice versa. So when we are in community pharmacy, when we see that our patient are actually having eye problem, whatever, we can actually refer to optometrists, and they will do whether they can do the screen. After that, they can refer to ophthalmology. So I think this interprofessional thing are in the way in the future. This also goes to dietitian. Do you know that when we talk about the paradigm shift, even the government now going to a paradigm shift for preventive and promotive care. So I think to work together with dietitian is very, very important. All right. So these are the things very interesting, where the healthcare workers are working together, and the impact will be very huge because they are working with pharmacists. Okay. Previously, we were talking about, what happened to us? Only had to compete with the doctors, blah 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 blah. Look, why we are not supposed to compete with the doctors? We are supposed to chart our futures, and this is our futures. So go and sell ourselves. See, we can work with any healthcare professional. And as I say, I think the sky is the limit. It depends on the individual.
Okay, right? So just to add on, just a bit more. In terms of collaboration, in terms of, we have to remember, in terms of the poison board, putting into mind very important medication safety. Medication safety first. So at the poison board, sometimes there are requests from the pharmaceutical companies shifting poison prescription items, schedule poison A to C. So at the board, we putting important is medication safety, whether we can push C with more C, with collaboration with the optometrists, with all the dietitian, all those things, with more C, more patient will come to us, where we will have to professionally, all these things. So as what Tuan Haji Ahmad said, the scope is very wide. Don't worry, young pharmacists, don't worry. The transition is going to be smooth, and the sky, inshallah, we will definitely, but in 10 years time, then now you all have take over from us already. Okay, see you. Thanks.
Okay, sikit je macam nak respond tu. Macam betul ya, kita farmasi, kita IK all the competition macam yang dekat kampus kita banyak menang ya, macam for me dekat ICJ pun biasa kita menang 2. So bila dah macam ni, sekarang ni waiting my list ni ada 2 department lain in hospital yang nak join together with us lah. Oh, the innovation macam macam bila nampak kita menang, dia pun nak join sekali. So kita macam selling our name sebenarnya tahu. Pharmacy maknanya ada daripada pharmacy counter kita ada expertise on this project ke innovation ke apa. Ya itu memang baguslah, macam kalau ada contract ke pharmacy semua ni join macam mula-mula mungkin join as a team, nanti akan datang jadi a leader lah to the any project. Yes.
All right. Okay, so thank you very much for Encik Ramhi, Dr. Salma, and so Dr. Azwana. It's a very interactive session. And also, I would say that it's a very knowledgeable and also very good experience sharing. It really gives me a paradigm shift, and I really like this kind of intellectual sharing. So why not we go into something more spicy, which is a Q&A sessions. Of course, we will definitely look into the questions that are relevant to us today, to the topic itself. So, and also relevant to what we actually have discussed today lah. I would like to address one first question is actually the questions that we just now mentioned about open-minded to all level and also to achieve the common goal of medication safety. So I would like to just not to specify any sectors or anyone, but just a blanket approach. Like for one of the questions actually did mentions that some of the places, some of the senior pharmacists might not think the same, might have different opinions, like they might limit the scope and also of junior pharmacists. Or I mean, definitely they have their own reasons, have considerations and all, because like different places have different considerations they need to take into account. But what do you think that what kind of things can maybe from Dr. Salma, Dr. Jonna, Misha, Ramhi can actually to share with them, like these senior pharmacists, like and also those that actually in place of having powers to open up to have an open-minded concept, to accept them as a team and to let them have more opportunities. What kind of mechanisms, maybe suggestions can be put in place in this facility so that everyone can actually grow together? Maybe I would like to have Dr. Salma to answer this first, then moving on, Encik Ramhi or Dr. Azwana to add on to it.
As I mentioned just now, for the KPF, let's just open up. They are all my pharmacists. Oh, jangan put aside. I think the word contract is can we just put it aside? All those under you are my pharmacists.
Correct.
And open the opportunity. I think this one it has to be from both sides. And the pharmacist also, I'm a pharmacist in the team. So I will perform to my level best. Because apa yang kita bawa balik, every cent that we bring back, this is what I always tell my staff. Is duit rakyat. It's not our money, it's not your money. Memang it's duit rakyat. So make sure every cent is memang dah memang melaksanakan your tanggungjawab, whatever is due to the rakyat. So both sides. You are my team, I'm your team. So we will work together. So,
just want to add on in terms of the word ahli pharmacy. Ahli pharmacy bukan ahli MPS. I was actually, when I discussed with DPP to request pharmacists in addition to ahli pharmacy kena bantai dengan DPP. Kita tak mau juga tukar. Must maintain ahli pharmacy because the other side, the ROS say no, bukan ahli pharmacy, tak boleh buat persatuan ahli pharmacy Malaysia. Sebab nanti jadi macam ahli members kan. So the word ahli here mean actually expert. Ahli pharmacy mean medicine expert. Pakar pharmacy itu. I mean, we can go along that line lah. Kan? Because I never, you see for example our specialization. I don't like us to be compared to doctors, please, because it's a different occupation altogether. We are very diversified. Our specialization is very different. So my advice to all these young, pharmacists, you have to develop your skills, because you have to learn until you die lah. You need to update your knowledge and so on and so forth. And the thing keep changing, and with the what you call with the internet, You know, we know that the customer going to ask us a lot of things. So we have to really become an ahli pharmacy, you know, ahli, you know, drug or medicine expert. If not, how are you going to answer? But one more thing, if you don't know, say don't know. Okay. If you don't know, you must say don't know. Say, okay, I'm not sure, I have to refer. It's fine. That's what professionalism is all about. Don't make mistake, you know. So these are the thing. I think the big point is attitude lah. If you want to become positive, you akan jadi positive lah. So I think that is that junction is very important. You know, you have to correct your intention, your niat. You have to correct. After that, then to me, my last point is a leader will produce leaders. A good leader will produce leaders. You know. Okay, so I've done in my practice. I think I've sent my pharmacists all go to the globe, go to the sky, and so on, because I never stop them. They can pursue any part of their and I wish them well. And all of them are doing very, very well. So a leader, a proper leader will produce leaders, because we need leaders across the pharmacy fraternity. Thank you.
Okay, so Dr. Azwana, I would like to ask you follow-up questions from here. Because someone did ask that as a KPF, I mean, like, it's relevant to you right now as a KPF. Do you think that is there any point, any way that as an employer, the head of the department can actually help to fortify their CV for this contract? Like, because we know that eventually, I mean, they might leave eventually soon, and all those, they might go to private, but as maybe they have spent like more than 5 years, 3 years in the government setting itself, they might need a right CV to start with from the previous, or maybe a recommendation letter and all those things. Do you think that as a KTF, any way that from your side can actually help with that? And also, do you think that it's feasible to provide more for them in terms of like building up their CV and all those things, so that it can actually give them a stepping stone or helping them in the transitions? What do you think about it?
Okay, first of all, for me, semua kena jadi members of MPS. Itu number one. Because kan, kalau asal for me lah, kalau nak pergi hantar kursus, kena okay, you member MPS ke tak? For me, my staff kata bukan hanya members tau, I nak dia live members. Macam live members. So untuk CV macam kalau kita recall balik Encik Ramli kata leadership ni dia bukan sekarang kita dah baru nak buat leadership. Dia pupuk daripada sekolah lagi tau. That's why bila ingat tak, kalau kita pergi interview, you nak pergi interview pharmacist ke, nak pergi untuk kontrak jadi permanent ke, dia kata ketepikan sijil akademik dan sijil-sijil yang berkaitan. Kalau pharmacist I as macam penginterview kan, I akan tengok sijil akademik tu, tak nak tengok pun. Even dah pharmacy sijil dah layak pun, akan tengok sijil lain. Akan tengok daripada sijil sekolah. Apa yang tengok, apa yang kita nak, kalau I nak, I master mesti ada disiplin, teamwork. Itu yang penting. Jadi bila kalau I dapat tengok sijil tu, dia ada macam dia ada join dekat sekolah ke universiti ke, uniform punya persatuan kan. I akan tanya, you ada buat apa tu? Macam marchingkan kawat kan? Because I dulu memang I scout kan, memang I'm one of the commanders of the kawat tu. Kenapa I suka itu sebab apa? Bila you dalam tim berkawat tu, dia ada elemen semua dekat situ. Elemen apa? Leadership, teamwork, menengok arahan. Kan? Kalau kita as leader nak bagi arahan, kalau anak buah tak ikut macam mana kan? Itu je saya nak buat kan. So
Dr. Azwana,
yes.
If let's say someone like maybe a contract pharmacist right now, they are leaving, dia datang ke Dr. Azwana, Dr. Azwana, boleh tak bantu saya tulis satu recommendation letter, kan doktor bantu untuk, let's say dia memang seorang bakat yang memang berpotensi dan juga show leadership and all. Would Dr. Azwana actually have to write that recommendation letter for mungkin dia punya next employment?
Of course saya akan tulis, tapi you can tunjukkan lah. Kalau dekat daripada, that's why I kata, you punya effort you nak jadi pharmacist dekat mana-mana pun, daripada the first day of the PRP. You tengok PRP you dah buat apa, dekat PRP tu you pergi buat all the events ke, join everything, because that's why bila ada event ke, make sure you dapat all the, sama ada sijil, ataupun surat atau memo yang mengatakan you join the program. Itu penting, bukan saja yang kita nak menyemakkan kertas-kertas banyak all the sigils ya. Itulah bukti you ada aktiviti yang boleh disupport untuk bagi markah sebenarnya. Kalau tak ada nothing je, just on the logbook je. Nak tulis apa dalam CV?
Okay.
You kena tunjukkan dulu you ada something to write in your CV lah.
So just to add on, Sean, last point. For all the pharmacists, start writing your CV. Then when you place your CV, then you'll see kat mana yang you short. And then improve yourself. Try and push in, fill up. So that when you, whether you are in the public sector or in the private sector, the CV is very important. If you don't start writing your CV, macam you buat diary, then suddenly when you nak minta kerja, oh I have to write CV. So it's very difficult. And then suddenly you ask for recommendation letter, you have to show to Puan Azana or your KPF, I need a recommendation, I'm looking for this job. Then suddenly you talk CV, you tak ada and all this kind of thing. Just show your CV. So start writing your CV. So that is my advice. And last advice.
Dia kena ada bukti, bukti penting.
Bukti.
Okay.
And on part of MPS also, I can also recommend, I can recommend people if they have the right CV, why not? Or whatever participation they have in MPS at all our chapters and so on, because there are a lot of work. A lot of work they actually have done, but they didn't actually do a proper CV.
All right.
For example, organizing, anything lah. I don't mind, to recommend members, for their future. Thank you.
Yes.
Because the pharmacy ni taklah besar sangat kan. Because macam kalau you pergi apply kat mana-mana pun, the employer sana pun boleh je call kan. Okay, how this person atau interview, how this person you kena good rapport with the superior lah.
I actually have heard of one thing before for one of my lecturer friend. She mentioned that one of his students actually put him as a recommendations, like a referral. So when the employer actually called the lecturer, yes, oh, do you know actually XXX? Then the lecturer said, I actually have no idea who is she or who is he, and not able to give a very concrete and strong comments and also suggestions or maybe some good things about it. So very important, everyone, employers, maybe like I believe that there's a lot of KPF like Dr. Azwana that willing to help a lot of like the fellow junior pharmacists that want to maybe go to other sectors. You need to build your own profile. You need to have a very written down your own things, and you need to show initiative and show proactiveness and also a good skill sets and all those things in order for them to write something that are very relevant to you or to help you with it. So this is, I believe that, I hope that because we are running out of time, we are not able to answer the remaining of the questions. I hope that we have longer time in future. Maybe we have another session in future to talk more about it. But very thank you to Ms. Arahi, Dr. Salma, and Dr. Azwana to give your inputs and your insight, which is, I would say that it's very valuable. It's very something that a paradigm shift to all the junior pharmacists that have heard about it. If let's say for junior pharmacists, you guys have not heard about it, you guys should actually approach maybe the organizer to get a recording and hear about it. It will actually change your mind and also let you have think more horizons widening. So with that to say that I would like to officially end these sessions. Thank you very much to all the audience, and thank you very much to everyone that have actually input your questions, chips in your questions, and most important, thank you to our esteemed panelists for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Encik Amrahi, Dr. Salma, and Dr. Azwana for your profound insights on this matter. And thank you so much, Mr. Sean Liu, for moderating this session.